Hi, welcome to the July 2020 version of Hudson Valley Review, a synopsis of local real estate and lifestyle news here in the Hudson Valley. I'm Joel Craig, your guide to Hudson Valley lifestyle and real estate. And today we're going to be discussing, much like last month, the continued exodus of New York City residents to the Hudson Valley area. We'll also have some other developing news and events. So if you want to stay tuned for that, you can hear about that as well. So let's get right into it. Of course, I recently heard that during the height of the pandemic, more than 500,000 people left Metro New York City, and we know that a lot of them came here to the Hudson Valley. And so again, that's going to be part of the theme today of what's going on in the area. And website End of the American Dream on June 8th, which publishes economic and social issues, news about that, says a recent Harris poll found more than 3 in 10 people in America say the pandemic makes them want to live in a rural area, and 1 in 4 now want to live in a suburb exterior to a major city. In a separate Harris poll, it was found that nearly 40% of city dwellers are considering leaving the city due to the pandemic. So that's just kind of reinforcing what we've kind of hearing, people wanting to get out of the city. Now, how much of a long-term trend that is, we'll have to see. But some of the other news, Los Angeles Times of June 13th, New Yorkers survive the coronavirus, but will they stay for what comes next? And it says many of the city's wealthiest residents left long ago for their country homes. Now the less fortunate are contemplating whether there's still a place for them here. And then we get to the New York Times, big article on June 17th, a run on the Catskills. A buying frenzy is roiling the real estate markets in some of New York's most pastoral regions. And nowhere is the enthusiasm starker than in the Catskills. In Sullivan, Ulster, Greene, and Delaware counties, urbanites with the wherewithal to venture beyond the city are snapping up primary and weekend houses, many in what real estate sales agents say is a financial sweet spot from $200,000 to $450,000. They're forging ahead despite the inconveniences and uncertainties of buying in a pandemic, mass self-directed house tours, cautious lenders, virtual closings, etc. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. We're busier in May than we ever were in the height of the summer, which is our high season in the Catskills, says Robin Jones, an agent with Country House Realty in Sullivan County. I've been in 5 bidding wars in the last few weeks, and I can confirm that that is the case around here lately. As demand rises, the supply of new Catskill listings has dwindled. Brokers say that many owners who had planned to unload their properties have been renting them instead, and that's also very true. While keeping a watchful eye on the market, or they're sheltering in the homes themselves. Among this vanishing inventory, buyers from Manhattan and Brooklyn are competing ferociously for a subset of houses, something funky, cute, and creative looking, said Hillary Smith, who sells properties for Ruth Gale Realty in Ulster County. Many buyers are willing to bid over ask if it means laying claim to a property that is within their budget and using it immediately. It's that price point, Ms. Smith said, for a certain committed group of shoppers. She added, the difference between $250,000 and $310,000 is not that different. I will point out, if you're financing, it could be very different to your appraiser, but be that as it may. Wall Street Journal, June 17th, when workers can live anywhere, many ask, why do I live here? And of course, that's what's driving this migration right now, is people who have worked for months from their home are realizing that they can live outside of the city in a much more rural environment and still do the job and still get paid to do the job that they could in the city. Upstate House, summer issue, Upstate House, great magazine, I highly recommend it. Deals with a lot of real estate news here in the Hudson Valley, and you can pick it up free in a lot of places. So I would again recommend that you grab that if you can see a copy. It says post-pandemic predictions for Hudson Valley real estate. A lot of people are going to be rethinking the logistics of their lives on every level after all this time in their houses. Realizing they need more space or less, More outdoor access in the city. Doing errands means an elevator, a crowded sidewalk. Parking your car means turning it over to a valet. In the country, no one else touches it. There are plenty of old school New Yorkers who are undaunted and just figure this too shall pass, but many people will be looking hard at quality of life issues in new ways, and the Hudson Valley is going to be where many look for solutions. And I would say that that's kind of the theme of this whole part of our story today. It sums it up nicely. Hudson Valley Post on June 18th. Many people from outside Hudson Valley are buying homes in the region. Real estate agents say people are looking to buy homes quickly in the region in fear of a second wave of the virus. Reader told Hudson Valley Post within 24 hours of posting his new Windsor home, he had 10 showings and 3 offers. One of those offers was accepted and the home was off the market within days. Other readers reported to Hudson Valley Post, if you don't see a house within a few days of it being listed, it's likely the home already has multiple offers and an offer has been accepted. And yes, there's been a lot of that around here lately. CNBC.com, flight to the suburbs is real and growing as coronavirus changes the way people live. The stay-at-home orders brought on by coronavirus have more potential home buyers looking for properties in the suburbs. Millennials are now the largest cohort of buyers. As the real estate market began to recover in May, home searches in suburban zip codes jumped 13%, according to Realtor.com. That doubled the pace of growth in urban areas. The migration to the suburbs is not a new trend, but it has become more pronounced this spring, said Javier Vivas, Realtor.com Director of Economic Research. After several months of shelter-in-place orders, the desire to have more space and the potential for more people to work remotely are likely two of the factors contributing to the popularity of the burbs. There's no question that there are people who are fleeing the cities. There's no question that the second home has been a place of refuge. There's no question people are rethinking whether they want to be in high-rise rentals with common spaces as amenities versus having home of their own with a backyard. NBC News, June 24th, families fleeing the city are pushing up home prices amid tight supply. The number of existing home sales cratered in May, but real estate professionals, along with homeowners, say pent-up demand is roaring back, cheering sellers but threatening affordability for suburban or rural buyers, competing with cash-flush buyers fleeing cities. I think it's the beginning of a secular shift in household behavior, said Ken Leon, Director of Equity Research at CFRA. These are residents of high-rise living in mostly urban markets who are more actively looking for the suburbs for single-family homes, both for growing families because millennials are aging, and also for safety in terms of COVID-19. The caveat, though, is that this bifurcated recovery, combined with low single-family home inventory, threatens to lock lower-income and urban families out of the market. There are really two different groups of the housing market, Leon said, with more educated and higher-earning workers able to attain home ownership goals that have become even more elusive for others. The Albany Times-Union on June 27th, Catskills see pandemic-driven boom. The Catskills may be particularly attractive to buyers from New York City and surrounding suburbs due to its relative closeness. Many communities are 2 hours away or less. Those 2 hours made a world of difference when it comes to COVID-19 cases. Zillow is reporting a national uptick in June, noting that buyers and sellers appear to be adjusting to new norms. And while the jump is national in scope, the website found that sales in the greater New York City area remain sluggish, fueling the idea that many downstaters may simply be looking north. Fox News on June 30th, a real estate CEO predicts future of remote working in New York City. Maybe the workers go in once or twice a week. Real estate entrepreneur Don Peebles predicted on Your World Monday that New York City-based companies are likely to reduce brick-and-mortar office space in favor of remote working, dealing a further blow to a market reeling from the coronavirus pandemic. Now with COVID-19 and all the amenities that New York had, many of which will never open again, and this escalating violence within neighborhoods, I think people are going to ask themselves, is it safe to go back? He explained. I think we're going to see a lot of people not go back to the city and work remotely. Maybe workers go in once or twice a week, max. Poughkeepsie Journal, July 2nd, luxury real estate market dips in Westchester, improves in Putnam and Dutchess. The luxury real estate market in Westchester, Putnam, and Dutchess County fared significantly better than the non-luxury market during the second quarter of 2020. During the coronavirus pandemic, real estate brokerage firm Houlihan Lawrence says the luxury market north of Westchester County, and that includes homes over $1 million, performed better during the coronavirus pandemic than the second quarter of 2019. The luxury market in Westchester, on the other hand, saw a decline in sales, but that was not as steep as the non-luxury market in the second quarter. Sellers in the two counties saw buyers pay slightly above asking price during the second quarter, which is in sharp contrast from the second quarter of 2019, when sellers on average took a 25% discount for their properties. The successful adoption of work from home during the shutdown was a game changer. For luxury buyers, especially those currently living in New York City, the functionality and amenities of a new home take precedence over location. Realtor.com on July 9th, is an exodus from high-priced cities looming as more folks work from home. The new realities of pandemic life is leading more and more city-dwelling Americans to reevaluate their living situations, and long-term ramifications for the nation's hottest urban hubs could be vast and transformational. With no access to the usual perks of urban life, nightlife, museums, sports, events, spending a small fortune for a cramped apartment or condo seems to make a lot less sense, and early preliminary data suggests more die-hard urbanites are seeking new homes in towns and smaller cities. That, together with the fact that big employers, including tech titans Facebook and Twitter, are more amenable to their employees working from home, means that workers may be loosening their ties to highly expensive, job-rich cities like New York or Seattle. Meanwhile, workers can get a large house with more land for a lower price the further from the city center they go. And an extreme commute may not be so bad if it's only once or twice a week. You'll be spreading out the suburbs and even farther out, says Kropp. If you're working remotely, there's no difference between being 30 miles away and 300 miles away. And in other real estate related news, Mid-Hudson News reports that Kearney developers are set to build the East End Lofts in Newburgh. Kearney Realty and Development of Baldwin Place has won the support of Newburgh City Council to build the East End Lofts project at 15 South Colden Street. The project will be similar to their Queen City Lofts in Poughkeepsie, which was a highly successful development. The project is slated for housing for mixed use, mixed income, and those involved in the arts and literary professions. The project will include 65 to 70 units, with 40 of them earmarked for arts and literary residents. Commercial space will be designed to accommodate a ground floor restaurant with rooftop lounge, similar to Zeus Brewing at Queen City Lofts. The project is tentatively scheduled to begin in 2021 and will also include an art gallery where works of artist tenants will be on display. Poughkeepsie Journal reports that historic standard gauge buildings in the city to be renovated by Scenic Hudson. The abandoned property at 58 Parker Ave and neighboring 164 Garden Street were recently purchased by Northside Junction LLC, an affiliate of Scenic Hudson, the environmental advocacy group announced on Monday. Plans call for Scenic Hudson staff as well as other nonprofit businesses to use the buildings after renovations, while the outdoor area will be turned into a green space for residents and a place for community events and educational activities. The Daily Freeman reports that the East Square building, opening in Midtown Kingston, has 79 residents. East Square stands for Energy Square. This was a RUPCO project. It's at 20 Cedar Street in Kingston. 70,000 square feet with 11,000 square feet dedicated for civic space. It's the future home of the Center for Creative Education, and it has 57 total apartments. In lifestyle and event news, the Hudson Valley Post reports that tours of Bannerman's Island will begin on the weekend of July 11th. That's a really cool place. You can leave off of Beacon, or I believe off of Newburgh as well, to see Bannerman's Island, take a tour. And for more information, see bannermanscastle.org. Big Frog 104, a radio station, reports that you can now ride on the rail bikes through the Catskill Mountains. They're having evening rides. It says experience the magic of the Catskill Mountains after dark as you bike the Ulster and Delaware Railroad this summer. Travels along the Esopus Creek through the forest under the light of the moon with lanterns on your rail bike for the 8-mile round trip. Night tours are offered on Saturdays only, and that's located in Mount Tremper, just outside Phoenicia. For more information, railexplorers.net. HITS, the Equestrian Foundation in Saugerties, got approval for a Great American Summer Series. This is a scaled down version, obviously, because of the pandemic, but they got the official approval from the United States Equestrian Federation over the weekend to host a 6-week series that starts July 1st in Saugerties. And for more information, that's hitsshows.com. Poughkeepsie Journal reports on a new business, fun-sounding business. Happy Valley Arcade Bar will bring video games and themed drinks to Beacon next month. Happy Valley at 296 Main Street is on track for mid-July opening. That could change either due to delays of the work or impact due to the coronavirus pandemic. Upon opening, the roughly 2,000 square foot space will feature 15 arcade games ranging from classics like Pac-Man and Frogger to more recent titles like NBA Jam and lesser known games like Samurai Showdown. Fans of craft beer will surely appreciate Happy Valley's selection. The arcade bar will have 16 taps with a focus on breweries from the region. Guests can also expect themed cocktails named for video game and cartoon characters. The space will feature paintings and murals along the walls. The owners hope to give the arcade bar a nostalgic look with lights and neon reminiscent of the arcades of the past. The Hudson Valley Rail Trail Association announced today that a major multi-use trail in the Hudson Valley will expand in Columbia County next year with support from more than $2.1 million in funding from state and federal government. Tentative plans call for the construction of a 1-mile trail segment near Taconic State Park between Orphan Farm Road and Black Grocery Road that will include a pedestrian bridge over State Route 22. Currently, there are 16 miles open on the planned 46-mile trail along the former New York and Harlem Railroad line that was abandoned in the early 1980s. Once complete, the multi-use trail will run between Wassaic and Dutchess County to Chatham and Columbia County. And I know in Dutchess and in Ulster, there's a lot of these rail trails, and they're heavily used for recreation. And it's good to see that Columbia County is getting their portion of the rail trail in place. And Brides Magazine ranked Gertrude's Nose in New Paltz as the 15th most romantic hike in the world. This followed hikes from locations like Portugal, Greece, and New Zealand, and it beat out locations including Peru, California, and New Mexico. And on June 22nd, the Today Show was filmed in Hudson. As in many areas of the country, the 300 small businesses in the picturesque upstate New York town of Hudson took a big hit when the coronavirus pandemic forced them to close for months. Now, as they begin to reopen, just in time for the critical summer season, today's Al Roker takes a tour of the town. Hand Luggage Only, a travel blog, rated the 12 best hikes in New York State. And of the 12, number 7 is Overlook Mountain, number 9, Breakneck Ridge, and number 11, Verkeerder Kill Falls, all here in the Hudson Valley. And Brewbound Magazine, which specializes obviously in craft breweries, announces that Sloop Brewing Company is the fastest growing regional brewery in 2019. Sloop Brewing Company began production of their new 30,000 square foot facility in August of 2018, moving all their brewing equipment from Columbia County to their larger space in East Fishkill. This increase in production in late 2018 allowed Sloop Brewing Company to produce just over 7,000 barrels by the end of the year. The new capacity allowed Sloop to produce 25,300 barrels in 2019 a percentage growth of 250%. Congratulations to Sloop Brewing. And there is a new cidery, which is open in Catskill. Left Bank Ciders on 150 Water Street is open on the weekends. Left Bank Ciders makes small batch ciders and meads that reflect the agricultural and ecological landscapes of the Hudson Valley and Catskill Mountains. All of their ingredients are sourced from within an hour from their cellar, where they press, ferment, and age. And Hudson Valley Magazine announces that Saugerties is getting its very own Hudson Valley film studio. Coming soon to Saugerties, Upriver Studios will consist of high-end pre- and post-production studios, conference rooms, makeup studio, wardrobe spaces, and potentially 2 large film studios right off the New York State Thruway Exit 20. While Saugerties space is a new addition for Upriver Studios, the women-owned film company has maintained a presence in the Hudson Valley since 2018, and in 2019 it found its future home at 1 Thompson's Road. Hudson Valley Magazine rated the Hudson Valley's best main streets and why you should live there, and among them is Beacon, Catskill, Cold Spring, Hudson, Katona, New Paltz, Nyack, Rhinebeck, Warwick, and Woodstock, and I can vouch that they all have great main streets. So that's it for the July edition of Hudson Valley Review. If you like the channel, subscribe. If you like the video, be sure to comment or hit like, and we'll see you next month with all of the happenings, both real estate and lifestyle related, in the Hudson Valley.